on the third edition of our annual event, which is the Kenya National Trade Week 2019. As we promised last year, this year's Trade Week will be focusing beyond Kenya. We are going regional. We started our Trade Week in 2017 after we had our national trade policy. And we felt it's good to every 1 year just hold an event where we do fast exposition. We have our SMEs, our companies showing what they have. But beyond that also we have a forum that we reflect on the 1 year and see some of the things we have done, which we can inform Kenyans, the achievements we have made, any challenges we may have faced. Then agriculture. And in agriculture there are several goods. I think you may have seen this. We have, for instance, Katmira is one of them. So we have coffee, we have tea, we have horticulture. There are quite a number. What are we doing? For instance, last year, I think one of the things we'll be announcing is that the horticulture sector in 2018 grew by 33% in 1 year. That's a good story. And 33% is above the 25% we had a target. So we'll be looking at which sectors have done well within the target, which ones have not done well and why, and what do we need to do to make sure we grow to the level that we want. But I think the horticulture sector is one sector we'll be celebrating because they did very well last year. The export earnings grew from just below 120 billion to nearly 160 billion, which is really good progress, particularly in the flower industry, despite the challenges we faced last year in that sector. But the sector grew. The exports also to the US, you will see there was some growth. So we want to see that. Agriculture, livestock sector, fishery sector, how are we doing?
The Kenya Exporter of the Year Award. Unfortunately, our exporters have never been recognized in Kenya for a long time. As you all know, almost $6 billion of export is what Kenya is doing. It's about 8% of our GDP, and we want to increase that to 15% of our GDP in the short term, and eventually have a zero sum between exports and imports. Right now, the imports that we do are about 16 billion, so the deficit is about $10 billion. So we feel that it's important that the export fraternity that's contributing to job creation and to revenue for Kenya, we need to start recognizing that. And basically on Monday, the first evening official function will be actually giving awards to the Kenya Exporter of the Year. There were many criteria on what we looked at and how we will award these people. One of them was job creation, manufacturing, local content, and I think the CEO will give us a deeper brief on exactly where we stand. But where we know is we've got over 100 people that actually participated in the awards, and we will be picking 6 out of 100 for different categories and actually awarding them and appreciating what they have done for Kenya. So exciting times for the exporters from Kenya, and a lot to look forward. Of course, we are now seeing that the markets are opening. We're also looking at the TFTA to operationalize, which is a tripartite free trade agreement between East Africa, SADC and COMESA. The African Continental Free Trade Agreement is also signed. We're looking forward to the operationalization of that. We're looking at a huge market opportunity in Africa, 1.2 billion people. And we have a huge opportunity in Kenya where the economies of scale and everything else will make so much more sense when we have a huge market access.
Trademark East Africa, we're extremely honored and privileged to work with the government of Kenya to continuously try and see how we can improve our trade environment, facilitate trade. And over the years since we were set in 2010, we were focused on improving the last mile of our infrastructure for trade. Specifically here we're looking at the Port of Mombasa, where efficiencies and productivities have been gained over the years, and the border posts where exits and entry of goods and services do happen. We've also worked very closely with the government in automating business processes, and now it's time for us to work closely with government again to look at ways to increase exports and jobs creation. And this is where we come in, and we are proud to have worked closely with the Ministry of Trade and the government of Kenya in developing in supporting development of the strategy for export development and promotion. And we are also carrying out a study at the coastal part of Kenya, where we're looking at cluster manufacturing and the sectors that are going to be invested in, the value chains that need to be unlocked, so that we not only develop and create exports and jobs, but also make sure that the jobs are created are of quality.
As a country, we are committed to delivering on Vision 2030, and the Big Four agenda has prioritized the growth of manufacturing to 15% contribution of GDP. Trade is one of the ways to achieve the growth of the manufacturing sector, and the conversations next week are really going to be about how we can grow our trade. We'll look at the National Export Promotion and Development Strategy that PS Kipto has talked about to establish the progress we've made so far and what further actions need to be undertaken.
And so with KETRA, we are trying to ensure that Kenya is able to respond to uncompetitive and unfair trade practices from the rest of the world. We've had, and so KETRA is being set up to ensure that we are able to track those imports and where they are being dumped, where they are coming in big numbers. And for example, you would know that we just last 2 weeks ago launched Rivertex for textile.